I think I'm a very international person. I was born in Rome, Italy, with my brother in 1995, and I only lived there for a couple months, even though my parents are Italian. We moved to London in England when I was about 6 months old, and we lived there until I was about 2.5. That's where I started learning to speak English, which I didn't learn until I already spoke Italian, so English was my second language. And then when I was about 2.5, my family moved to Paris, where we lived until I was 5. Paris was where I started going to school, and I started learning French there, so that was my third language in, 5 years. And Paris was really my first memories were in Paris. It's the first place I remember living, and from what I can remember, it was great. I had a great time there. And then when I was 5, we moved to Chappaqua, which wasn't really such a difficult move. I was still young. I didn't really have anything to say about the move. It didn't really affect me that much. And I started at Roaring Brook when I was 6. And that was, I remember it being great. I loved Roaring Brook. I loved my friends there. But as I started getting older, it wasn't the same. The whole small town thing wasn't really my thing. But I was still young, and then in 4th grade when I was 10, 9, turning 10, I think, we moved back to Italy, to Milan this time, and that's really where I started to grow up. It's in the city, so I started having, a city kid life, and I took the bus and the tram and the metro everywhere, and I was very independent. That's where I learned to be very independent, and it was a great time. I loved it. And then when I was told when I turned 15 at the beginning of sophomore year that we'd be coming back to the United States, back to Chappaqua, I was very iffy about the whole situation. I didn't, my memories of Chappaqua weren't nearly as fond as my memories of Milan, and I loved it so much that I just didn't ever want to leave. And then I didn't really have much of a choice, so we moved back. And for the first couple months, I remember just being very unhappy and very unsatisfied with, the town and the school and everything. And really, as time passed, I made, great friends, and I realized that there was a lot at Greeley and in Chappaqua that, I could control. I could make it better for myself. And that's when I started thinking about things like Quaker Notes and Life School and peer leadership and playing volleyball, and I discovered all these great things that really made the experience so much better. And I realized it doesn't really matter where you live. You can always you have to make the best out of every situation, or you'll never be happy. And I love Chappaqua. I'm having a great time, and it's going to be sad when I leave for college, but that's just another experience and another place to do the same thing I've done 5 times now, and it'll just keep getting better.